Imagine this. The Harris household, a family already used to the spotlight, suddenly finds itself thrown into the biggest scandal yet. A late-night leak, a tape no one was supposed to see, and whispers that quickly turned into thunderous accusations. T.I.'s son, King Harris, once known for his rebellious streak and controversial outbursts, has now been caught in the middle of a storm that threatens to shake the very foundation of his family's legacy. Fans are shocked, friends are stunned, and the industry is buzzing with one burning question. What really happened, and what does this mean for the Harris name? As the tape spread like wildfire, emotions ran high. Tears, rage, denial, every reaction played out in real time. And just when people thought it couldn't get any messier, another bombshell dropped. Whispers of a paternity twist that could change everything we thought we knew about King Harris. Is T.I. really his father? Or has this scandal peeled back the curtain on a family secret that was meant to stay buried forever? Tonight, we take you deep inside the emotional fallout, the betrayals, and the shocking revelations that left fans gasping and the Harris family divided. This isn't just amidst an all-out reality-style meltdown that no one saw coming. The scandal began quietly, almost too quietly, in the middle of a restless Atlanta night. It started with a single clip, grainy and unclear at first, but quickly recognized by thousands of eyes across the internet. Whispers turned into full-blown conversations, conversations into accusations. And before sunrise, King Harris was at the center of a firestorm he never imagined. The leaked tape wasn't just any scandal, it was personal, emotional. And it carried with it the kind of fallout that no one in his family was prepared to face. King, the fiery son of T.I., had always been in the headlines for his boldness and his defiance of authority. But this time was different. The tape was raw, unfiltered, and packed with implications that fans couldn't ignore. As social media lit up with hashtags and debates, King's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from friends, shocked comments from fans, and even distant family members demanding answers filled his inbox. The first voice to break through the chaos was T.I. himself. Sitting in his study, surrounded by awards and mementos of a long career, he stared at the screen with disbelief. "What is this, King?" he muttered under his breath, frustration and confusion mixing into a storm he could barely control. Later, when he confronted his son, the exchange was anything but calm. "Dad, it's not what it looks like," King said, pacing the living room, his voice shaky but defiant. "Not what it looks like." T.I. shot back, his tone sharp. "Son, the whole world is watching this. You think people are just gonna look the other way?" The argument escalated quickly, with emotions running high and neither willing to back down. Tiny King's mother tried to step in, but even she couldn't diffuse the situation. The house that once held laughter and music now echoed with accusations and tears. Outside their home, fans gathered online like vultures circling their prey. Everyone had an opinion, and most weren't kind. "King's ruined the family name," one user wrote. "I must be embarrassed beyond words," another chimed in. And yet, amid the chaos, a darker narrative began to take shape. It started with a rumor whispered in a small forum. What if King wasn't really T.I.'s son? What if this scandal was only the tip of the iceberg? As soon as the idea surfaced, it spread like wildfire. Suddenly, the leaked tape wasn't the main story anymore. It was the possibility of a hidden family secret. Fan theories erupted, digging into old interviews, analyzing photos, and even comparing King's features to those of T.I. Some swore there were differences. Others dismissed it as nonsense, but the seed of doubt had been planted back inside the Harris household. The weight of the whispers began to crush King. "They're saying I'm not even your son," he said one night, slamming his phone on the kitchen counter. His eyes were red, not just from anger, but from the tears he tried to hide. "Don't listen to them," Tiny insisted, pulling him close. "You are family, no matter what anyone says." But King wasn't convinced. The look in T.I.'s eyes whenever the topic came up told him there was more to the story. Something unsaid the following day. Things got worse. A close family friend who had known the Harrises for years gave an exclusive interview to a gossip outlet. "There have always been rumors," the friend admitted. "Tiny had her secrets, and I wasn't always the picture of loyalty either. Nobody's perfect. But maybe this is the truth finally catching up." That statement sent shockwaves across the internet. Suddenly, every move the family had ever made was under a microscope. Old relationships were dragged back into the spotlight. And speculation about who King's real father might be became a trending topic. Meanwhile, King spiraled. The once confident young man, who had prided himself on brushing off hate, was now questioning everything he thought he knew about himself. "Am I living a lie?" he asked in a hushed voice during a late-night conversation with his cousin. "Have they been lying to me my whole life?" His cousin tried to reassure him. But the cracks were already too deep. The tension came to a boiling point when T.I. called a family meeting. Everyone sat around the dining table, the silence so heavy it was suffocating. "We need to address this," he said firmly. "This family doesn't break apart over rumors." King slammed his fist on the table. "Rumors? Dad, they're saying I'm not even your son. And you're sitting there acting like it's just gossip. Tell me the truth. Am I really your blood?" The room froze. Tiny shifted uncomfortably. T.I.'s jaw tightened, and for a moment, no one dared to breathe. "King," T.I. finally said, his voice low, "you are my son. I raised you. I've been there for you, and that's what matters." "That's not an answer," King shot back. "That's just you dodging the question. I need to know." Tiny broke into tears, her hands trembling as she reached for her son. "Please, don't do this right now. We're already hurting enough." But the damage was done. King felt the hesitation, the uncertainty, and it ate at him. Outside, the media frenzy only intensified. News outlets replayed the leaked tape. Fans dissected every detail, and the whispers of a paternity twist grew louder. Blogs speculated about DNA tests, distant relatives, and possible betrayals from decades ago. The Harris family, once seen as hip-hop royalty, was now portrayed as a crumbling empire. For King, the pressure became unbearable. He withdrew from social media, refusing to answer calls or texts. Behind closed doors, he lashed out at those closest to him, accusing them of keeping secrets. "You all know something you're not telling me," he yelled one night, his voice cracking. "I deserve the truth." Tiny collapsed in sobs while T.I. stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind him. The family was fractured. Everyone felt it. Just when it seemed like the chaos couldn't get any worse, a shocking twist emerged. An anonymous source leaked supposed court documents from years ago, documents that hinted at a custody battle. Hidden settlements and a man whose name had been blacked out. The internet exploded. Who was this man? Was he connected to Tiny? Was he King's real father? The questions multiplied, and the answers seemed just out of reach as the Harrises sat in silence. Their empire under siege, King realized his world was no longer the same. The tape had started the fire, but the paternity rumors were turning it into an inferno. And somewhere deep inside, he feared the truth might be even more devastating than the lies. That night, King stared at his reflection in the mirror, whispering to himself, "Who am I, really?" The question lingered in the air, unanswered, as the storm around him grew louder. The next morning, the tension in the Harris household was so heavy it felt like the walls themselves were holding secrets. King barely spoke to anyone. He locked himself in his room, scrolling endlessly through social media posts that dissected every detail of his life. Each comment cut deeper than the last. "He doesn't even look like one person wrote. "This explains everything." Another added dot outside his door. Tiny paced nervously, her face pale and eyes swollen from crying. She knew this storm wasn't going to pass on its own. Eventually, she knocked softly. "King baby, can we talk?" There was no response at first. Finally, the door creaked open, revealing King's tired, bloodshot eyes. "What?" he snapped, his voice sharp but fragile underneath. Tiny stepped inside, her voice trembling. You can't let them get to you. People online don't know the truth. They just want drama. But what if it's not drama? King interrupted, his voice breaking. What if it's real? Mom, are they right? Have you been lying to me my whole life? Tiny froze. The silence that followed spoke louder than any words she could muster. King's chest tightened. He could feel the answer before she even spoke. King, Tiny whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. You're my son. I love you more than anything in this world. That's not what I asked, King shouted, pushing back from her embrace. I don't need love right now. I need the truth. Who is my father? Downstairs, T.I. overheard the heated exchange. He rushed upstairs, his temper boiling. Enough. He roared as he stormed into the room. This family will not tear itself apart because of gossip. But King wasn't afraid anymore. He stared his father in the eyes and demanded, then prove it. If you're my dad, prove it. Let's take a DNA test. The room fell silent. Tiny sobs grew louder. T.I.'s face hardened. And King's demand hung heavy in the air. Later that day, news of King's outburst somehow leaked online. Insiders claimed the family was considering DNA testing, and fans couldn't get enough. Hashtags like #Who is King's dad and #Harris Secrets began trending. The drama had officially gone from a private crisis to a public spectacle amid all this chaos. King's older siblings began weighing in. Zonique, trying to defend her brother, posted on Instagram, "Family is family, blood or not. Stop tearing us apart." Her post drew support, but it also fueled speculation. If everything was fine, why would she need to say that? The streets of Atlanta buzzed with gossip. Even in local barbershops, people debated whether King was truly T.I.'s son. Fans dissected old family photos looking for resemblances or the lack thereof. Look at his jawline, one person said. That ain't T.I.'s. The rumor had grown into a full-fledged narrative. And no matter what the truth was, people already believed what they wanted to. For King, the pressure reached a breaking point. One evening, he exploded in front of the cameras of a reality show crew that had been filming the family. "Y'all want to know the truth? I don't even know who I am anymore," he screamed, storming off the set. The raw footage leaked online, making things even worse. In the middle of the storm, an unexpected voice entered the conversation. An older man whose name had been whispered in connection with Tiny's past came forward in a cryptic social media post. He didn't say much, just a single line. Sometimes the past catches up. Fans immediately pounced on it, convinced he was hinting that he was King's biological father. The revelation sent King spiraling again. He confronted Tiny once more. "Is it him? Is he my dad? Tell me, Mom." Tiny collapsed into tears, unable to answer. T.I., furious at the man's audacity, slammed his phone down. "He's lying, King. Don't you dare believe a word of it. People just want to see us broken." But King couldn't shake the feeling that the truth was slipping through the cracks. Days later, the family sat down with a crisis manager, someone T.I. had hired to control the narrative. "We need to put out a statement," the manager said. "If we don't, the rumors will destroy everything you've built." King scoffed. "So we're just gonna spin it? Lie to the public while I sit here, not even knowing who I am." Tiny broke down again, whispering, "Baby, please don't do this." Not in front of strangers, but King was relentless. "I don't care about the public right now. I care about the truth. If I can't get it from y'all, I'll get it myself." With that, he stormed out, leaving his parents in stunned silence. That night, he reached out privately to the man who had hinted at being his father. "If you've got something to say it to me," King typed, his hands shaking. Minutes later, a reply came. "Meet me. I'll tell you everything." The stage was set for a confrontation that could either clear the air or shatter the family forever. King didn't know if he was ready for the truth, but he knew he couldn't turn back now. As he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, one thought echoed in his mind. "Tomorrow, I might find out who I really am." The following day, King drove through Atlanta's crowded streets with his heart pounding in his chest. Every red light felt like an eternity. Every glance in the rearview mirror reminded him that his life was under a microscope. When he finally pulled up to a quiet diner on the edge of town, he spotted the man immediately. Older, grayer, with a face weathered by time. He sat in a booth near the back. Waiting, King hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. The air was thick with tension, as if everyone in the diner could feel the weight of the meeting about to take place. He slid into the booth, his hands clenched tightly into fists. So King began, his voice low but filled with fire. "You said you had something to tell me. I'm here. Talk." The man leaned forward, his eyes steady. "Son, there are things your mama never told you. Things that might explain why you've always felt different." King's heart skipped. "Don't call me son. Not until I know the truth." The man sighed. "Fair enough. But you deserve to know when you were born. There was doubt. Tiny and I. We had a past. A long one. And there's a chance you're mine." King felt his entire world tilt. The room seemed to spin as the words settled in his ears. He slammed his hand on the table. "A chance? That's all you've got for me? You dropped this on me after all these years, and you can't even say for sure." The man looked down, shame flickering across his face. "I wanted to step forward sooner, but your mama and T.I., they shut me out. They wanted to raise you as theirs. I stayed quiet, but maybe I shouldn't have." Rage bubbled in King's chest. "So all this time, everyone's been lying to me, playing house while I'm out here, not even knowing who I am." Before the man could respond, a commotion erupted outside the diner. Paparazzi had caught wind of the meeting and swarmed the parking lot. Cameras flashed through the windows and voices shouted King's name. King cursed under his breath. "Great, now the whole world's gonna see this." The man shook his head. "They'll twist it, they always do. But if you want the truth, son, we can do a DNA test. Once and for all. DNA test. Once and for all." King froze. The offer was tempting, terrifying, and everything he thought he wanted. "Fine," he said through gritted teeth. "But if this test proves you're lying, you'll regret ever opening your mouth." Meanwhile, back at the Harris household, Tiny was unraveling. She sat in the kitchen with tears pouring down her face, confessing to her sister. "I thought burying the past would protect him. I thought if we never spoke of it, he'd never question, but now it's all crashing down." T.I. stormed into the room, furious after hearing about the meeting. "He went behind our backs to see that man," he shouted, "after everything we've done for him. He deserves answers," Tiny whispered, her voice trembling. "Answers." T.I. snapped. "Or excuses. This ain't about him anymore. It's about us, our family, our legacy. You let this man crawl back into our lives. And now the whole damn world thinks I might not be his father." Tiny broke into sobs. Unable to respond as the family's arguments spilled into the public eye, fans took sides. Some rallied behind King, insisting he had the right to know the truth. Others defended T.I., calling him the real father regardless of blood. Debates raged across social media, with hashtags like #TeamKing and #TeamT trending simultaneously. Days later, King and the older man quietly arranged for a DNA test. The results would take time, but the anticipation was unbearable. Every tick of the clock felt like torture. King avoided his parents, shutting himself off from everyone except his closest friends. In one late-night conversation with a friend, he broke down. "If he's my dad, then my whole life's been a lie. If he's not, then I've ruined everything with my real father. I can't win either way." The friend placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes the truth hurts. But it's better than living with questions that eat you alive." Meanwhile, T.I. wrestled with his own demons. Alone in his study, he whispered to himself, "He's my boy. I don't care what no test says. He's mine," but deep down, he feared the result more than anything. When the day of the results finally arrived, King sat in a sterile office, his hands trembling as the envelope was placed before him. The man sat across the table, silent, while the doctor slid the paper forward. King stared at it, his chest tightening. "Before I open this," he muttered, "I need you both to know. Whatever it says, I'm not the same kid anymore. I'll never be the same." The paper sat between them like a ticking time bomb, ready to destroy or rebuild everything in its path. King reached for it, his fingers shaking, and just as he was about to tear it open, his phone buzzed. A text from Tiny: "Please don't open it yet. Come home. We need to talk first." The cliffhanger left King frozen. He looked at the envelope, then at the man who might be his father, and then back at the phone in his hand. His world had never been more uncertain. King sat frozen in that sterile office, the envelope heavy in his hands, his mother's text glowing on his phone screen. His heart pounded as if it were trying to break free from his chest. The older man across the table leaned forward, his eyes filled with a strange mix of anticipation and guilt. "Open it, son," he urged softly. But King's mind was already racing. Tiny's words replayed in his head. "Please don't open it yet. Come home. We need to talk first." He clenched his jaw, shoving the envelope into his jacket pocket. "Not here. Not now," he said firmly, standing up. The man frowned, frustration clear in his expression. "You'll never know peace until you see those results." King's voice shook as he replied, "Maybe, but I deserve to hear my mother out before I find out if my whole life's been a lie." He walked out of the office into the chaos of flashing cameras and shouting reporters. "King, is it true? Who's your real father?" Microphones were shoved in his face, but he pushed through the mob. Silence louder than any answer he could give. Back at the Harris home, the atmosphere was thick with dread. Tiny sat at the dining table, her hands shaking as she clutched a photo of King as a baby. T.I. paced behind her, furious and restless. When King walked in, both parents looked up, their eyes brimming with unspoken fear. "Sit down, T," I said sternly, his voice sharp. King sat, slamming the unopened envelope on the table between them. "Before I open this, I need the truth. No more lies. No more dodging. Tell me everything." Tiny's lips trembled as she began. "King, when you were born, there was confusion. I had a history with someone before your father and I fully settled down. But T.I. was there from the moment you took your first breath. He raised you. He's been your dad in every way that matters." King's voice cracked. "So it's true. I might not be his son." Tiny burst into tears. "Baby blood doesn't define love." "Your father—" "Stop," King interrupted, his anger boiling over. "I've been laughed at, dragged through the dirt, and humiliated while you sat here keeping secrets. You could have told me years ago. You should have told me." T.I.'s fists clenched at his sides. "Listen here, boy. I don't care what any test says. I'm your daddy. I've fed you, clothed you, protected you. Don't you dare let some rumor, some man from the past, erase all of that." King's voice broke as he shouted, "Then why didn't you tell me the truth?" Silence. The family was fractured, emotions spilling over like water from a broken dam. The moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. When T.I. opened it, the older man stood there, his face calm but determined. "He deserves the truth. If you won't tell him, I will." The room exploded. T.I. lunged forward, his anger uncontained. "You don't get to walk in here and claim my son. Not after all these years." King shoved himself between them. "Stop it, both of you. I'm not a trophy to fight over. I'm a human being who deserves answers." Tiny collapsed into sobs as the two men glared at each other across the room. Finally, King pulled the envelope from his pocket. His hands shook as he tore it open, silence falling over the room. His eyes scanned the paper, his breathing growing heavier with each second. Tiny held her breath, T.I.'s fists slowly unclenched, and the older man leaned forward, desperate for the answer. King dropped the paper on the table, his face pale. "It says, 'I'm not your son, T.'" The words sliced through the room like a blade. Tiny wailed T. I staggered back as though he'd been punched, and the older man's eyes filled with tears. "I knew it," he whispered. But King wasn't celebrating. He wasn't relieved. He was broken. "So all these years, everything I thought I knew, gone." T.I. stepped forward, his voice hoarse but steady. "Listen to me. I don't care what that paper says. You are my son. Maybe not by blood, but by everything else that matters. You carry my name, you carry my lessons, and you'll always carry my love." King's eyes burned with tears. But the world will never see it that way. They'll see me as the mistake, the outsider. Tiny reached for him, sobbing. "No, baby. You are the heart of this family. Don't let anyone take that from you. Don't let anyone take that from you." The older man placed a hand on the table. "King, I'll be here if you want to know me. But no matter what, can't erase the years he's given you." King looked between the two men, the father he had known all his life, and the man who claimed his blood. His heart was torn in two, and no answer could mend it. Outside, reporters shouted as news of the DNA results leaked within minutes. Headlines flashed, "King Harris, not biologically T.I.'s son." Fans exploded with reactions, some sympathetic, others cruel. The internet feasted on the family's pain while inside the house silence reigned. King finally whispered, his voice trembling, "I don't know who I am anymore, but I know this, whatever happens next, nothing will ever be the same." The Harris family sat in stunned silence, their empire shaken, their secrets exposed, and their bonds tested in ways they never imagined. And as the cameras outside rolled, the world waited to see what would happen next. And so, the fallout from the leaked tape and the shocking paternity twist has left the Harris family standing at a crossroads. Emotions ran high, tears were shed, and truths that were buried for decades finally clawed their way into the light. King Harris, once simply known as the fiery son of T.I., now finds himself redefining who he is, not just to the world, but to himself. The DNA results may have confirmed the rumors, but they also raised new questions about identity, loyalty, and what truly makes someone family. Fans are still divided. Some stand by King, calling him brave for demanding the truth. Others rally behind T.I., insisting that fatherhood is about more than just blood. And then there are those who point fingers at Tiny, blaming her for letting secrets fester until they exploded in the worst way imaginable. The internet has turned into a battleground of opinions, memes, and theories. And the Harris name is once again etched into the center of controversy. But here's the biggest twist of all: this story isn't over. Will King embrace the man who claims to be his biological father? Will he and T.I. rebuild their bond despite the paper that says otherwise? And will Tiny ever find forgiveness, both from her family and from herself? What happens next could either heal the wounds or tear them open even further. And only time will tell how the Harris family moves forward after such a devastating revelation. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think blood defines family, or do you believe love and loyalty are stronger than DNA? Was King right to demand the truth, or should some secrets stay buried? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get this conversation started. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more explosive updates, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next twist in this unbelievable saga. Because in this family story, the drama is far from over.